Once more onto the breach. I've tried to film this video like 6 times and been interrupted or other issues. Hello, my friends. My name is Matt. This is Unbearable 73, take 7 or 6, something like that. In this episode, just some quick thoughts on the information in an article from Cosmic Book News called Woke Doctor Who Being Ignored by Russell T Davies, last Chris Chibnall, written by Matt McGloin. Article is on your screen. We'll go over it a little bit in depth later. So, those of us who've experienced the return and then the fall into woke oblivion of Doctor Who after the series was brought back in 2005 are mostly burnt out. Somewhere between red-pilled and black-pilled, to use the vernacular. We've seen a fandom that we love, which was always progressive and open to diversity, be brought down by woke Marxist intersectional deconstruction. Ratings plummeted after Peter Capaldi's first season as a Doctor, as more and more wokeism plus bad writing crept in. With Chris Chibnall taking over, and then the years of Jodie Foster as the Doctor, the spiral into wokeism and the downward rating trends continued. To be honest, many of us simply wanted it canceled again, and perhaps put to rest for a decade or so. Some thought that after the canon story changes, Doctor Who can never be brought back. Now we're entering the post-Chibnall era. There are only 2 specials left with Jodie Whittaker as Doctor Who. As a Doctor. I can honestly say that after her first season, I couldn't even force myself to watch anything else after her first season. Can't be over soon enough. Now we know that a production company owned by Sony and run by Russell T Davies has gotten complete control of Doctor Who from the BBC. They've basically licensed it. So the questions are, how much control do they really have, and will Russell T Davies really change anything? So to answer the first question, based on what we've heard and knowing Sony's stance on things, I can say, granted this is my opinion, that Sony will not be doing this if the BBC had any control or say in the production. Okay. Sony has demonstrated clearly that they care about making money over anything else. The 3 Spider-Man films in MCU were the least woke of them, and note this, that while Marvel filmed them and did them, Sony had control of what was in the films, because they were Sony products. As to the second question, we have conflicting information. A couple months ago, Russell T Davies, who we call RTD in the fandom, issued a statement that's been interpreted as meaning that he wouldn't change anything that Chibnall had done. And now we get this article from Cosmic News with a contradiction. So let's take a look at the article. So first they start by mentioning that showrunner Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker have only 2 episodes remaining, with a special airs this Sunday and another one in the fall. So a spring and a fall Doctor Who special. Then we have good news is learned that when Russell T Davies returns to the Doctor Who 60th anniversary, he'll be ignoring the woke Doctor played by Jodie Whittaker and created by Chris Chibnall. Why did we learn this? Well, in an article with the Radio Times, the current showrunner Chibnall laughed about it and said, "Oh, I fully expect Russell to ignore it." He laughs, which taken aside, tells me that Chibnall did not take his time on Doctor Who very seriously. So by Chibnall laughing about it, he's interpreting that as Chibnall is well aware of what he was doing with the character and didn't care, which most of us agree with. And now, obviously, that cost the Doctor Who dearly, as he says, has the lowest ratings in its 6 years history. Yes. Then his next comment, "I've absolutely loved it. It's such a privilege. Few people have done it, and you're standing in the footsteps of those people across 60 years. And then back again, everybody should have a big smile on their face, he says. Russell is one of the elite showrunners, and who was lucky to have him, just on the back of It's a Sin, one of the greatest shows of all time. And now, this is important to note right here. Of course, it doesn't mean that Russell T Davies won't be going with his own version of woke Doctor Who. As rumors are offered, a gay actor might be cast, another female actor, or whatever. Okay? Here's an important point to note. Wokeism has been grossly overextended to basically mean anything progressive, anything that's not ultra. That's the wrong way to phrase it. Wokeism, as young Ripa has pointed out, is really a combination of tokenism and Marxism. Okay, having a female doctor, I know there are people who hear this and be controversial. To me, it was like, okay, you can have one doctor as a female. I thought it would have been better to have an older, more veteran actress, as the female doctor. And it legitimately, while it's continuing the Doctor Who adventures, legitimately explore how a female Time Lord might see some things differently. That's not what happened in Chibnall's era with Jodie Whittaker. Right? And obviously none of the stupid changes he made, like the timeless child and all that sort of stuff. Forgive me if I sound a little hoarse today. My allergies are blowing up, and it's weird. The first good weather we get, and of course the allergies get even worse, right? Yeah. But so, unfortunately, Chibnall has basically assaulted the ground for any sort of female doctor ever. And I'm not saying I wanted a female doctor. I'm just saying you could have had a regeneration of female doctor as a sort of one-time, couple-year experiment, have a couple cool adventures in there with the female perspective, and then moved on. And in addition, people need to remember the British culture is much more left-leaning than the U.S. culture. What's considered conservative in Great Britain is more like middle, sort of middle of the road to slightly left-leaning here. Okay, so Russell T Davies, what's undoing many of the woke intersectional changes, sure, but if he comes back and the Doctor's still a liberal sort of character, which he's been for decades, you go back 30, 40, 50, 60 years, obviously, you will find the Doctor, in American terms, being center and center left, okay? So don't delude yourselves into thinking that this is a sort of ultra-conservative show. It's not and has never been. But back to point, okay? You can read the rest of the article. There's some more information in there. I urge you to read it. It's a decent little article. But back to my point here. Okay. So, my thoughts now. Is Chris Chibnall lying in the article? He could be. I mean, I don't think of him as a particularly truthful person, but then again, I have anger at him over Doctor Who. But on the other hand, he's been pretty blunt about everything he's done to Doctor Who with the deconstruction. So the next thing is, was RTD lying when he said that he would not change the Jodie era? I don't think that he was. So how do we reconcile those positions? Well, let's consider this. If you all remember the Doctor Who episode Blink, if I were an elite YouTuber, I would have had this prepped, but I don't. I'm not an elite YouTuber. I'm just a normal guy trying to make my way in a normal world. If you remember the Doctor Who Blink, you might remember this particular clip.
I'm writing in your bits.
How? How is this possible? Tell me.
I'll censorize it so you can see it better.
Yeah, people don't understand time. It's not what you think it is.
I'm hoping you can hear what the Doctor is saying.
Complicated.
Well, if you don't, he's explaining the Doctor Who / Time Lord concept. Time Lord.
And I'm not happy.
Those of you who do remember, it's the wibbly wobbly timey
People
one.
assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective
Let's let that
viewpoint,
finish.
it's more like a big ball of wibbly wobbly.
Yep, there's a wibbly wobbly timey one right there, and that's over
I'm
with.
writing in your bits.
How?
And
How
I'll
is this
stop that.
possible? Tell
And
me.
then, okay. And that, of course, as I said, is an episode Blink from David Tennant's second season. It's the best modern episode of Modern Who, meaning the 2005 onward series. And basically, it codifies in the TV show something those of us who've read Doctor Who for novels and listened to audio dramas have known for decades. And let me point out, Russell T Davies is one of us in that sense. He's written 2 Doctor Who novels, one back in 1964. He wasn't anywhere near working on Doctor Who. This novel is called Doctor Who Damaged Goods. Davies also has multiple EU references from his time as a showrunner. And now let's consider this other one, Aniba from classic Doctor Who, going way back. This is a little bit longer clip. It's tiny, and I will make it a little bigger. Hopefully the audio is good. If not, I'll be on filming to number 8.
Why can't you?
Because if Sutek isn't stopped, he'll destroy the world.
But he didn't.
Look at
did
this.
he?
I mean,
we know
Elizabeth
the world
Sladen
would
and
end
Tom
in
Baker,
1911.
masters. It's like
Yes,
it
of
just
course
brings back to
we
my
do.
childhood, but they're incredible.
Right. If we leave now, let's see what the world will look like in 1980.
I say,
The first thing I ever
this
did
is like
when my
something
grandma
by that
told me how to
novelist
crochet was try to
chap,
make
Mr. Wells.
the scarf.
$1980, Sarah, if you want to get off.
And I'll explain what happened in the scene in the context of Doctor Who after it finishes.
It's a trick.
That's the world as Sutek would leave it. Desolate planet circling a dead sun.
That can't be. I'm from 1980.
Every point in time has its alternative, Sarah. You've looked into
You know, I
alternatives.
noticed something else about this.
Fascinating.
I'll comment on in a
do
second,
you mean
too.
the future can be chosen, Doctor?
Not chosen, shaped. The actions of the present fashion the future.
So a man can change the course of history?
So,
To a small extent. It takes a being of Sutek's almost limitless
look at the
power to
way
destroy the future.
when you watch older stuff like this, I mean, and Baker's really good at this, but even Sladen, the camera's pointed right at her, but she's not
Now
looking
we are
at the
here. Why
camera.
don't you tune up 1980 and we can...
Like it's some. I think there's something
Well,
with older
leave.
filming that they
can't.
do where, which nowadays when you see the camera pointed right at the actor's looking almost right at the camera, and whereas it's kind of like back then was over the shoulder. I think it's a better technique, so you can kind of instead of making the camera view first person, it's sort of like, I guess, isolinear or something like that. Anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about. So that's from the greatest Doctor Who episode ever, and if you don't think that, you're wrong. You're just plain wrong. It's called Pyramids of Mars, and that explains how an aspect of time works in Doctor Who. It's called alternative time, and basically what happened in the episode was the Doctor and Elizabeth and Sarah Jane went back to about 1890 or so. They were trying to go to the unit headquarters, but they wound up in the same building, but like 100 years earlier. And they got mixed up in an adventure with the Pyramids of Mars, where Sutek the Destroyer is imprisoned under a pyramid on Mars, and a pyramid on Earth has an object in there that's holding him in prison. And the Sutek was on the verge of escaping. And Sarah Jane's like, well, Sarah Jane basically said, as you heard in the video, well, we know he couldn't have escaped because we come from that future where we're fine. And because the Doctor says Sutek's going to destroy the Earth if he gets out. And the Doctor's like, well, Sarah, we're basically, this is the kind of alternative time where things happen which are different than you remember because we're time travelers, and basically multiple realities exist because multiple paths of time travelers exist. And that is something very common from Doctor Who in the EU. That I know I'm mangling this, but one of the defenses Gallifrey had, for example, in the Time War and before that, was there were parallel Gallifreys, which seemed to be the real Gallifrey, but unless you had the coding for the transduction barrier, you couldn't get to the real Gallifrey. You got shunted to one of these parallel Gallifreys in alternative timelines. Yeah. So that's another EU concept, and then the third EU concept. Well, it's not even EU; it's in the show. The alternative realities that we see in many episodes, like when the Doctor regenerated again to David Tennant, but also into David Tennant again, and the whole Dr. Donna thing and all that. And we've seen. Point is, Doctor Who has plenty of tools that can be used by a good writer like Russell T Davies. On its face, we have an impossibility of getting rid of this, the damage of the Chibnall era, but there's tools, ways it can be done. So now here's my hypotheses, okay? And these are all just fan opinion. I mean, there's nothing I've seen to back any one of these three things from being the alternatives. So, and then, the first two are options based on whether Jodie does the regeneration scene or not. So, option A, she does it, then the entirety of her run will be in alternative time. They'll make that apparent in the first episode with the new Doctor, with some sort of lines like you heard in the Tom Baker episode. So there'll still have been a main timeline Jodie Whittaker Doctor, but all the events of that time period will be something different than occurred in the show we saw, would be in the alternative time. Option 2 is that she balks at the regeneration scene, and basically that she gets excised out. We don't see her in any future multi-Doctor episodes, which would be the real world punishment. Instead, we see a prior Doctor return, like maybe Capaldi or Matt Smith, and they regenerate into the new Doctor, and everything that happened involving Whittaker and all get stuck into an alternate reality, with a timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly variant, okay? And option C is they do a complete reboot, which I'm not opposed to them doing that, but I don't know if they would do that, because Russell T Davies is smart enough man to fix this. So, again, you got to understand this video is me trying to be an optimistic fan. Doctor Who has filled a place in my fandom life since I was somewhere between 5 and 10. That's like 45 years ago, basically, now. It's a tragedy that Doctor Who was destroyed by bad writing, mostly, and woke experimental destruction, second, mostly. And now Doctor Who has become a sort of farcical comedy, almost a parody of itself. So, can RTD fix it? There's one guy who has the cred to and the capability, that's Russell T Davies. But the level of hope for Doctor Who is low. On the other hand, the Doctor has always been able to take even the smallest ember of hope and turn it into a supernova. Comment down below if you please, or if you don't, and if you have any questions for me. Share this video if you will. Like if you like, dislike if you dislike. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. My name is Matt. This has been Unbearable 73. Have a nice day, and I am out of here.